How well does a 3-year-old phone perform in 2017? Let's find out. Let's start with the design. We actually have a very sleek and a good looking phone here. In fact, this design is still continued with the iPhone 7 just with a bigger camera and the relocation of the antenna bands. But other than that, we have a full aluminium body which feels quite premium, but it does make the phone a little bit slippery. So I won't really recommend it without a skin or a case. Chances are you will end up dropping your phone or cracking the screen at one point or the other. But if you are a little careful, for most part you should be fine. So overall, the design and the build quality still stands pretty good in 2017. Now this model is about 3 years old and is still in great condition. This was actually the first iPhone with a bigger screen. We had the iPhone 5 which was a little bit taller, but it was still pretty small compared to most Androids. So from that perspective, this was the first iPhone that started competing with bigger screen sizes, and that trend is still continued even today with the iPhone 7 and the 7 Plus. Looking at the front, it comes with a 4.7-inch Retina display or a 5.5-inch display if you upgrade to the Plus model, which I have right over here. Moving on, both phones are available in 16, 32 and 128 GB. Both phones also come with 1 GB of RAM. Along with that, we have a A8 processor 64-bit with a M8 Motion Core processor. On the back, we have a 8 megapixel camera with f2.2 which is able to record at 1080p 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second. And along with that, we have a 1.2 megapixel front-facing camera. And the camera sensors are getting a little outdated, but don't underestimate them. They're still able to take really good pictures and videos even today. And I will show you guys some sample footages just in a bit, but for now let's move on to our specifications. So the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus come with first generation Touch ID, which is a little bit slower compared to the second gen, but it's definitely not a deal breaker. It still performs really well, and this phone also comes with a classic headphone jack that you won't find with the iPhone 7 or the 7 Plus. With that, we have a 1810 mAh battery for the iPhone 6 and a 1915 mAh battery if you upgrade to the Plus model. Now, actual battery life could vary quite significantly depending if you're buying this phone used or if you're buying it brand new. And if you're buying it used, how heavily it's been used and if the battery was ever replaced, and a lot of different factors. But for me, the model I have is about 3 years old and is still running on the original Apple battery, and I know this because I had this phone since the very beginning, and even till today this battery will last me about a complete day of normal use, which is pretty good. In fact, the iPhone 6 models are able to last a little bit longer than the iPhone 6s models, so maybe that's another reason why you want to go for the iPhone 6, besides it's half the price than the iPhone 6s. Now, I've covered all the basic specs, but specs mean nothing if the phone is not able to perform that well. So let's talk about how this phone actually performs beside all the specifications. Alright, so doing some basic web browsing, it performs fairly well. It'll maybe take a second or two to load a web page, but overall it's not bad. Roughly speaking, it'll take you maybe a second more to load a web page when comparing to the latest iPhone, but overall doesn't make a big difference. It's also able to run on the latest software, so really in the inside, in terms of what you can do, the apps you can install and all that really makes no difference if you have this or the iPhone 7 Plus. Also, this phone should be able to upgrade to the latest iOS 11 whenever that comes out. So you'll still be able to enjoy the new layout, any software upgrades and all that just with the iPhone 6. Speaking from a perspective of gaming, playing games like Real Racing 3 works surprisingly well. I'm getting very good frame rates, really good graphics, and a really good screen to play the game on. Sure, launching the application might take a bit longer on the iPhone 6, but once the game is up and running, it really makes no difference if you're playing the game on the iPhone 7 or the iPhone 6. The only real issue I face is the limited storage you get from a 16 GB device. Since that is the base storage, and even half of that is occupied by the operating system, so that only leaves you with about 10 to 11 GB of storage. So that 11 GB of limited storage really holds you down to what you can actually do on this phone. I have few songs, some pictures and some basic applications, and my storage is completely full. It's full to the point that I can't even take a picture from my camera, and if I take a screenshot that won't be saved because I don't have any storage to save that. So for me personally, storage is the only thing that will keep me back from using the iPhone 6 in 2017. Because other than that, comparing this phone is 3 years old, is pretty affordable right now and has a design that stands well in 2017 with good performance. The camera quality is not as good as the iPhone 6s or the iPhone 7, but is still pretty good comparing it to the price. So at the end, I'll let you guys decide if the iPhone 6 is still worth it in 2017. Let me know what you think in a comment down below. And with that, here are some sample footages from the iPhone 6 Plus. And yeah guys, that was it for today. If you liked this video, subscribe for more content, and as always, thanks for watching.